What if I told you that one of the most infamous women in Renaissance Europe was the daughter of a pope? And what if I told you that her name still evokes whispers of seduction, poison, and political murder? This is the story of Lucrezia Borgia, the woman born into a family that ruled with ambition, manipulated with charm, and destroyed with poison. She was a duchess, a political pawn, a suspected murderer, and perhaps, above all else, a survivor in one of the most treacherous courts in European history. Lucrezia Borgia was born on April 18, 1480, in the town of Subiaco, Italy. She was the illegitimate daughter of Cardinal Rodrigo Borgia, who would later become Pope Alexander VI, and his mistress Vannozza de Catane. Even her birth was a political contradiction. As a child born out of wedlock to a cardinal sworn to celibacy, Lucrezia's very existence was a symbol of corruption hidden beneath the polished marble of the church. From a young age, Lucrezia was trained in the arts, literature, and languages. She could speak fluent Latin, Greek, Spanish, and Italian, and was known to compose poetry and music. Her beauty was praised by many contemporaries: long golden hair, fair skin, and a graceful demeanor. But her charm was more than skin deep. It was sharpened by necessity. The Borgia family's rise to power was steeped in controversy and political cunning, and Lucrezia would be thrust into this world, whether she wanted it or not. In 1492, her father ascended to the papal throne as Pope Alexander VI, one of the most controversial popes in the history of the Church. This election opened the door for unprecedented nepotism. Lucrezia's brothers, Cesare and Juan, were given military and ecclesiastical titles, while Lucrezia became a valuable diplomatic asset. At the age of just 13, she was married off to Giovanni Sforza of the powerful Milanese Sforza family to solidify a political alliance. But the alliance didn't last. Giovanni soon fell out of favor with the Borgias. Cesare, Lucrezia's ruthless older brother, orchestrated a plan to dispose of him. The marriage was annulled on the grounds of non-consummation, an accusation Giovanni fiercely denied, claiming the Borgias only wanted the annulment so Lucrezia could be remarried for political gain. He publicly accused the Borgia family of incest, fueling rumors that would haunt Lucrezia for the rest of her life. With her first marriage annulled, Lucrezia was free to be used again as a political tool. This time, her father arranged a marriage to Alfonso of Aragon, the illegitimate son of the King of Naples. At first, the marriage seemed successful. Lucrezia and Alfonso appeared to genuinely care for one another, and they had a son together. But the political tides shifted again. The Pope and Cesare decided that their alliance with Naples was no longer advantageous. Suddenly, Alfonso became a liability. One night in July 1500, Alfonso was attacked by assassins on the steps of St. Peter's Basilica. He survived, but only barely. Lucrezia, horrified and grieving, stayed by his side and tended to his wounds. Her pleas to her father and brother to spare her husband's life fell on deaf ears. A few weeks later, as Alfonso lay recovering in bed, stranglers entered his room and finished the job. He was murdered, most historians believe, on Cesare's orders. And Lucrezia? She wept over his corpse, powerless to stop the machinery of ambition grinding down another life she loved. By now, the rumors surrounding Lucrezia had taken on a life of their own. She was said to possess a hollow ring used to dispense poison into her enemies' drinks. Murmurs of incest between her and Cesare persisted, fueled by political enemies and scandalous gossip. Whether these rumors were true, exaggerated, or entirely fabricated is still debated. What's clear is that Lucrezia Borgia became a symbol of danger, decadence, and manipulation. In 1502, Lucrezia was married a third time, this time to Alfonso d'Este, heir to the Duchy of Ferrara. The d'Este family initially resisted the match, worried about the Borgia name and its notorious reputation. But political pressure and a large dowry eventually won them over. Lucrezia's move to Ferrara marked a turning point in her life. No longer entirely under the control of her father and brother, she began to shape her own identity. At Ferrara, Lucrezia transformed into a true Renaissance patroness. She supported poets, artists, and scholars. Her court became a center of culture, elegance, and learning, but the shadows never quite left her. She still operated within a world of courtly intrigue, secret letters, and bitter rivalries. Though less directly involved in the bloody politics of Rome, her reputation for manipulation persisted. One of the most compelling and perhaps tragic aspects of Lucrezia's life is the duality between her public role and her private sorrow. Despite her supposed role as a poisoner, Lucrezia suffered multiple miscarriages and lost several children in infancy. These losses devastated her. In letters, she spoke of her grief, her longing for peace, and her fatigue with the endless demands of courtly life. The same woman who was accused of orchestrating murders with a smile was also a mother, shattered by loss. Lucrezia and Alfonso d'Este had several children, two of whom would survive to adulthood. One son, Ercole II, would go on to become Duke of Ferrara. Yet her marriage, though more stable than her previous ones, was not free of tension. Alfonso had affairs, and Lucrezia maintained close friendships, perhaps even romantic relationships, with various poets and diplomats. Her correspondence with Pietro Bembo, a renowned scholar and cardinal, suggests a deep intellectual and emotional bond laced with poetic longing. As Pope Alexander VI died in 1503 and Cesare's power declined, Lucrezia became more distant from Rome. She focused instead on Ferrara, on her children, and on maintaining her role as Duchess. But her past could never be entirely erased. Her name was etched into the annals of history, surrounded by a halo of scandal. In 1519, Lucrezia fell gravely ill following the birth of her last child. After days of suffering, she died at the age of 39. Her death marked the end of a life lived on the edge of power, scandal, and myth. Even in death, rumors persisted. Was she finally punished for a lifetime of poisonings? Or was she simply a victim of the same frail humanity she was so often accused of rising above? Centuries later, historians continue to debate Lucrezia's true nature. Was she the poisoner of legend, slipping deadly liquids into jeweled goblets? Was she the tragic daughter, manipulated by the ambitions of men more powerful than her? Or was she both? The evidence is murky. Contemporary letters, diplomatic reports, and papal records offer glimpses, but no certainty. What we do know is that Lucrezia Borgia lived in a time and place where power was maintained not just with armies, but with marriages, assassinations, and carefully orchestrated scandals. She was both a player and a piece in a larger game, sometimes wielding influence, other times being sacrificed to it. She was born into a world that viewed women as tools of alliance and vessels of inheritance, yet she carved a space for herself in the cultural and political fabric of Renaissance Italy. Perhaps the most enduring mystery of Lucrezia Borgia is that her story has always been told by others, by chroniclers who feared or envied her family, by playwrights and novelists who saw in her the perfect femme fatale, and by historians who sift through propaganda for truth. She is both history and myth, woman and legend. Today, when we say Lucrezia Borgia, we evoke not just a person, but an archetype. The beautiful deceiver, the poisoner in silk, the Pope's daughter who ruled from the shadows. But perhaps it's time we also remember her as something more. A woman, forced to survive in a world designed to use and discard her. A patron of the arts, a grieving mother, a duchess, with a mind as sharp as the poisons she may or may not have used. In the end, the truth of Lucrezia Borgia lies not just in the rumors or the archives, but in the space between them. The same space where history becomes story, and story becomes legend.